Hey and welcome. I'm Blake Ibram and I'm doing a book review today on The Powers to Lead, Soft, Hard and Smart. It's written by Joseph Nye, who, a little bit of context on him, is a Harvard Dean, lectures in leading, and he also has a background in foreign affairs. A quick bio of the book consists of quickly the context that's going on in the world. So firstly, leadership in the 21st century is a little bit different to previously because of the greater access to information. And therefore there's more distrust amongst leaders as people can vocalize this distrust. The content of the book mainly starts on the background of the foundations of leadership before moving through the leadership types, the different types of power, soft power, hard power, the emphasis on contextual intelligence, which we'll go into deeper later, and then the key skills associated with each power. So the overall evaluation is then grouped together at the end to give us what good leadership really does look like. So why is it necessary to look into leadership like Joseph Nye did? Well, we find out that necessary skills for leading is actually applicable to all walks of life, whether that be small businesses, non-for-profit organisations, or multinational enterprises. So especially in the business field, it's important to lead if you have any type of group around you. We see real-world examples such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Winston Churchill as exceptional leaders. And they were the highest of the high leaders. And obviously we're not going to, be at that level, but they're some of the leaders that he speaks about in the book. The first big topic is hard power. That refers to controlling followers through rewards and intimidation and the use of coercion and payment. We see that in the carrot and stick analogy. It was a big factor in early leadership models that hard power, you have to assert your dominance. And although we're slightly moving away from that theory, there are still two critical skills that come from it. That is the organisational skill, which looks at the ability to manage this information, the information flow, and reward system of a group. And then also the Machiavellian political skills, which is the ability to size up other people's weaknesses and strengths, likes and dislikes, to get things done. It includes the politics of fear and bullying, which is sometimes necessary. Both of these are used in context, so it's not always to go to, but it is associated in the general scheme that we will touch on later, which is called smart power. Contrary to hard power, we have soft power, which is really the duality of it. So that refers to the ability to obtain preferred outcomes through attraction. We see in the background a photo of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was incredibly good at soft power, as he was able to attract a large following without really enforcing things, without a punishment of any sorts. Another example is community-based police work, and we typically see that it's greater in women than men, not saying that men can't learn it, but we just notice that innately. So there's three critical skills of soft power that we look at. One, emotional intelligence, which is the self-mastery, discipline, and empathic capacity that allows leaders to channel their personal passions and attract others. The communication, which is to be an inspirational leader, it is imperative to communicate effectively. By being able to speak clearly to your particular audience, you can demonstrate greater soft power. And then vision, which is communicating a picture to the future that gives meaning and inspires others, is vital for bringing groups together for one unified agenda. Martin Luther King had all of those things. Smart power is the accumulation of both of these worlds. We tie them together and then we add another skill which is called contextual intelligence. And this is essential for great leaders. We think of the be, know, do process, which is be, as in be introspective, know past history, and then do. You learn from your experiences. It's all about taking actions in a timely fashion. Contextual intelligence refers to knowing when and how to put the skills together. It depends on circumstances and is the defining skill to turn strategies into smart power. If we were to give an Australian example of this, not that Joseph Nye talks about this one innately, but me being a Collingwood supporter knows that Mick Malthouse is an example of this. A premiership coach at Collingwood and only years later at Carlton had a terrible coaching time. And that was because of the context. There's different contexts. Although he has both interest in mind and was the same coach, there's contextual differences which ultimately affected his ability to coach. So now comes the portion where I'm to critique. And Joseph Nye, although I did really enjoy his theories, there were a few things that I did question, and one was emotional intelligence. Research kind of tells us that, yeah, we can learn it, and it can be learned, but some say that there's an innate portion to it. Therefore, although I believe it can be learned, I thought he should have made a greater emphasis on the components of emotional intelligence. That is, perceiving emotions, reasoning with emotions, understanding emotions, and managing emotions. If he could dial in on the exact interests of each of these, then we can have a greater, well-rounded description of emotional intelligence and how each of these can affect us to be a better leader. Yet, he was quite blunt in just saying that emotional intelligence is an important factor and then moved on. Another critique I have is the Machiavellian political skills. Now, although important in politics, and where Nye's coming from, he talks often about politics, considering he was involved in foreign affairs for a long time, but I don't know if it is a universal trait required for leadership. In fact, a small business owner is a great example. If he wants to depict community values and show that his business is a community business, I don't think they would appreciate if he was bullying his employees. See, slight differences like this illustrate the need and sometimes the requirements of leading and how they can be contextually different, which he does touch on. But to say that Machiavellian political skills is a universal skill required, I'm not quite sure. I think for us uni students, the best note that I got from it was that it's not all innate. You often hear stories about these really impressive people like Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, and Mahatma Gandhi, and you think, wow, what if I had that confidence? But he describes quite clearly that it can be learnt, leadership skills, and that it's not that difficult to learn if you apply yourself to them. Each of these things is an important note to take, because 99% of us aren't going to need to be Mahatma Gandhi and change a revolution, but we'd like to apply these skills in the workplace. Another imperative point that he mentioned was that it's a combination. So instead of getting stuck in the laws of how the do's and do nots and how to, lead correctly, it was nice to hear, and I think practical advice, that there's a combination that needs to be manipulated every day between hard and soft power. There's no one set law to follow, and essential to be aware of our circumstances, which is contextual intelligence. People often forget and would like to set a rigid set of rules that they follow, but it's all about being applicable to the moment. Finally, Nye touches on the necessity of time throughout the book. He sees time as a great teacher, and he emphasizes experience and emotional maturity, two concepts that come from time. Me, as I think about my leading abilities right now, I fear that I'm making too many mistakes and that I'm not learning correctly. Yet, that's a part of the process. It's inevitable that us as uni students will make mistakes, and although that's the case, Nye offers a solution that is, with time, we'll begin to learn from him. He mentions that the need to review errors is an essential part. And I find that to appreciate that I have time to become a better leader is an improving factor in my leadership. Thank you very much for listening to my oral presentation. That's all.